Hello, everyone, and welcome to Concordia University's Fourth Space. Thank you for joining us for today's event, Printed Loops, Experimenting with Animation and Printmaking, Part 2. To help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube Live from Fourth Space, which is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. At Fourth Space, we work with our university community to mobilize knowledge by co-creating daily activities that examine research questions and projects in development here at the university. We are running today's event as a live stream Zoom meeting, so for those of you joining us on Zoom, we welcome your comments and questions with a raised hand or via the chat. And for those of you in the space, if you'd like to participate, just let us know by raising a hand and we'll be sure to get a microphone to you. With that, it is my pleasure to hand it over to artist in residence in the animation program, filmmaker, visual artist, master of architecture, Beatriz Carvalho. Beatriz, welcome.
Hello. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here today. So my name is Beatriz, and I'm going to present the first part of the event today. First of all, I want to thank you all students, all the students for being here and for sharing your processes with me and with the public, and for experiencing this journey with me this semester. I also want to thank Fourth Space, Birdie, Jacqueline, Douglas. Thank you so much, all the team for receiving us. I want to thank Concordia and Hoppenheim Animation Program, Luigi, Martin, Celia, Marie-José, all the professors, Shira, for having me as an artist in residence and a teacher and sharing with me all this knowledge. And I've learned a lot. Who else? I want to thank Charlie, to our teaching assistant, for being there too and sharing your experience. Okay, so today we are going to share with you the explorations and exercises and experience and creative work from the students and the work that they did in this course, the 398 special topics course in printmaking and animation. And before we start, so I'm gonna just tell you how the event will go. So we are going to talk a little bit here. I'm going to share how I thought about the structure of the course. And then after, we are going to go around the stations. There are 3 stations to see the final project in process or finalized from the students. Okay, so then you can ask questions about their creative process, how they did the animation, the printmaking. So I think they'll have a pleasure to answer all the questions. And yeah. Before we start, I'm not a storyteller at all, but I'll try to tell us a little short story for you guys, because it's a story that, and sometimes I forget the details, so I have my here my text. It's a story that a really dear friend of mine, storyteller from Brazil, told me a while ago, and that for me it relates a lot with the collective learning space that we have in the course. So the story is called Nasruddin Mullah, Nasruddin the Wise Man. Do you know the story? Have you heard about? So Mullah Nasruddin, it's a character from the Turkish folklore. Some people say that he really existed. And it is like it appears in other stories from the Middle East. I'm not an expert, but I like this specific story. So how the story goes is that Nasruddin was a really wise man. Okay, he was like a master, a teacher, like he had a really amazing knowledge. He was admired, and then the community invited him to come and give a talk. And then Nasruddin came. He stood in front of the audience, and then he said, "Good morning. So do you all know what I came to talk about?" And everybody said, "No." And then he said, oh, well, if you don't even know what I'm going to talk about, so I'm leaving. And then he left. And then everybody was like, oh, but like we want to hear his wise words and we want to hear his experience. So, and he left. And then I say, let's invite him for next day. And then next day, Nasruddin came, stood in front of the audience and say, okay, do you know what I'm going to talk about today? And everybody say, yeah, we know, we all know. And he's like, oh, good. And then he left. Like, what's the point, right? You already know. So then they were like, everybody was like, what is happening with Nasruddin, like, and then the organizers and the public also invited him to come again next day. And then he came again. And before he came, they were like, okay, guys, it's not working. Okay, so half of you say yes and half of you say no. And the next day, Nasruddin came again. And then again, he asked, you know what I'm going to talk about? And then, yes, no. Everybody was like, they said what to do, right? He had to say something. And then he was like, oh, so then perfect. So the ones who know talks to the one who don't know. And he left again. And that's his story. I really like the story. And to complement the story, there is a really beautiful thought from Paulo Freire, which is a Brazilian educator. And he says, who teaches learns while teaching, and who learns teaches while learning. Teaching does not exist without learning. So for me, these ideas from Paulo Freire kind of synthesize what I feel it is the space that we are creating in this course and in the other courses. And they resonate with what I wish when I come to be a teacher. And I find it's a place that we kind of experience together, a space where learning and teaching intertwine. So I teach, I learn, you learn, you teach for me too, and with each other. So it's a space of dialogue. It's a shared environment where we can change our practices and our universe of creation. So we have really different ideas and experiences and memories and ways of doing art. So we exchange that in the course, and a space of dialogue. So when I came as an artist in residence, I created to myself a structure, right? I was like, okay, I will do a research. So I created a structure in which I could experiment, continue exploring printmaking and animation. So I was doing this before, but so then I decided to, like, I already had experienced monotype, and then I started to work more with linocut and etching on acetate. I decided to work with loops and cyclic temporality because, as you know, in printmaking, it's a way of making things move in less frames. So you can kind of extend the time and the cinematic experience through time. And I decided to work with documented sounds. And then from this structure, I created the structure of the course. So I said, well, one day, the other teacher, Luc Auter, he told me something that was really important for me. He was like, you have to do a course that you want to do, that you would have pleasure doing it. So I was like, okay, so this structure that I created to myself, I can extend to this course, right? So we can work with loops. And then we also worked with straight ahead and weaving loops. We worked with monotype and linocut because also I was working with that, but also because we have like a limitation in the material and it's a technical aspect too. Exploration, experimentation, studio-based course, collective space with dialogues and exchange, and we did these assignments. So a collective stamp assignment, straight ahead with monotype loops, linocut loops, and the final project, which the student could choose what to work with. So as you see in the stations, monotype, linocut, and stamping, it's present in the students' works. And yeah, so you can kind of ask them questions about their process. Some questions that guided me, and I also brought to the course, that they don't have answer, but they are kind of they move us in the process of creation. What creative possibilities reside in the encounter between animation and printmaking, instant frame versus continuity of movement, and how to work with this idea, and while we are animating with printmaking, how cyclic temporality shapes our cinematic experience, how to deal with the unpredictability of printmaking each frame in relation to the continuity of movement, that sometimes for an animator who searches perfection, it's kind of a challenge. How to explore the textures and materiality in the animation when working with print-based techniques. So these questions kind of drove us in the process. I've learned a lot. All of this has to say I've learned a lot, and I want to just congratulate you all and thank you for everything that we had experienced together in the course. some 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 photographs. Yeah, and then I'm gonna just open the microphone for students who want to share a little bit of their experience in the course. I thought about these questions, but you can say pretty much anything about your experience, and then we can after open to questions if someone from the public has questions. So what the practice of printmaking brought to your animation, and what challenges and discoveries can you share from this course? Ariel.
Yeah, always me. I'm gonna say wrist pain. Um, yeah, it's a painful process, but it is very satisfying because I love textures, and well, printmaking brings in a lot of textures, especially if you're slightly bad at it. Because if you're very good, it's slick. You know, it's clean, it's perfect. But since we're learning, and I'm not too good at it yet, there's a lot of textures, there's a lot of imperfections, and I think it's beautiful because it's kind of a way of exploring imperfections in animation in a way that like takes the control away from you in a sense. Um, because as you're printing, well, you're still in control of like the lines you drew, you're still in control of the image you carved, but you're not in control of the way the ink behaves fully, at least. So it's a way of bringing chaos in an otherwise very controlled way of making art, which is animation. Yeah, and also it's fun and it looks very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Ariel, and I would add also that it's very freeing. I found like it really opens up to experiment. Like I feel like the range of experiment is way wider than when we do digital animation. For me, it's like it was a revelation for me.
Oh, yeah. Does anyone else want to share it?
I think the biggest thing is like coming into this class, I actually had zero experience with printmaking. And so the biggest thing for me was actually how accessible certain printmaking techniques were, because before coming here, the only thing I really knew about was like screen printing, lithography. Like these are more like complex ones that like require like a whole facility or like at least a decent amount of money. But like in doing like linocut and monotype especially, which is like all you need is the paint and glass and paper. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is super accessible, super affordable. And you could just keep going with it, right? There's so much room for experimentation, as everyone's saying. But yeah, I think it's the sort of accessibility of it that really caught me by surprise and was like very pleasant.
Thank you. Michelle?
I think one of the challenges that I discovered with this course was how like the quality of the materials that you're using really affected your different designs and stuff, because I don't think I'm the only one in this course, but there was this problem with the rollers and it being soft rubber and hard rubber. And even if it stated that it was soft rubber online, it was not. And it led to a lot of difficulties in class where everyone was running around trying to find the three rollers that were actually the right one. And it was similar to the linocut as well. I know some of us had difficulties cutting because the tools weren't as sharp, or some of the linocut material itself was just so hard that we couldn't cut into it. So I think that was a little bump that most of us had to go over, and it was really cool to go through that discovery together as a group.
Yeah, I find that these challenges, first, like there's the challenge of the material that kind of we discover with time, but it's also like part of the non-control that sometimes we have to have, like let it go a little bit, but then it's like a wave, you kind of, you see where it's not working and then you try to make it in your favor, kind of, and you have to do, I have to say, like I had a lot of pleasure seeing you having difficult, but then going like, keep going and then finding pleasure and then keep going and then we never stop, right? And then we do a loop and then we want to do another loop and then we want to do another loop and then it never ends. We're just looping all the time. Just like, I want more loops. Thank you for this, for sharing. Anyone else want to share?
Hi. What I really love about animating at all is like the artisanal part of it, and printmaking is literally like the everything is about making the frame and about making a print and about like the whole process is the most important part. And for me, that's what I loved about it. That's what I love the most about all like both of the practices. So to have them mixed together, I think I'm gonna animate in printmaking a lot more from now on. And really, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air. Like, oh, inspiration. I want to create again. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I really love this course, and I really like. I'm gonna integrate a lot of what I've learned into my practice.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you all. Should we go to the stations? So, oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a really important part. So we are going to show, so I did an editing of all the exercises, the assignments that were created throughout the course. And then in the stations, we'll see the final project process, okay? And some of them finalized. But yeah, this video will be like everything that you did, assignments together. I did the best as I can with the music. So let's just, where is it? So these are the assignments. So I think now we can go to the stations and you can feel free to ask them questions about their prints. They are on on the table. You have the prints and the matrix, and on the screens we can see the final projects. Thank you so much for being here. Let's just keep going on the stations.
So for all of you online, we're just going to take a few minutes to set that up, and we'll actually be visiting the stations with the camera. So we'll be back in just a few moments. For those of you online, we're giving you a snapshot view of some of the work that is displayed around the space.
Do you want to tell us something about this? Explain? Yes, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to pass to Mahis to explain a little bit of your.
Okay, so I first started with a linocut that was like a rectangle, and I had my animation in the middle, but I quickly noticed that it was very limiting because I want to put like different kind of colors on different characters. There's two characters in my loop animation. And then I realized, because I wanted to do some overlay of colors, because my idea was to do just a very gentle and tender loop of two kind of blob hugging each other. But I wanted the colors to overlay. So it's like, we're in an era that is very divisive. So I wanted to be like, can we meet in the middle and just, mix the colors? That was my main idea at the beginning. And then, yeah, when I made those stamps, I realized all the potential of it. This was a mistake. So I put some color just in the middle of my first matrix. And then I took a clean brayer and I passed it on it. And it was not my intention at first, but then, yeah, it just like it printed the middle on my brayer. And then I cleaned it up on a piece of paper. And I loved how it looked. So I decided to try to recreate it in my loop here. So that's the technique that I use. So I put some ink on my stamp. Then I took a clean brayer, passed it on it, and then I was putting it like randomly there. So it made like a more messy loop, but I love the chaotic effect of it. And these are, those were the sheet where I was cleaning my stamps, but I loved how it looked. I would love eventually to be able to animate that, but I will take, yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's like, it would be nice to make an animation out of this, but it will take much more time because, it's like several print. Yeah, exactly. But I would be interested to try it though. I have many other ideas, but I feel like this kind of, this kind of loop is kind of endless. It's like so many things you can do. And I made like, I had a grid on my light table, so I could align each of the stamps. Yeah, so my animation would work. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Because I would be done if someone wants to talk. Michelle, do you want to talk? No?
Felisteske, do you wanna? Would you like to talk a little bit about, or?
I didn't tell you well during the whole discussion, but one thing that I really like about this course is that I'm gonna use this not only for like films, but for anything because we learned a lot about looping because I never really did looping before. And to me, I think this is the biggest exercise that I've learned is how to really time, and especially with the music also. We talked like with Ariel about Steve Reich, which is doing like a musique concrète, and it's like exactly the same thing that we're doing, like looping. So I've really worked on the music also with my exercise, and this was used for a performance. Actually, yeah.
This work is really painterly, right? It's a print, but painted really like thought as a painting too, in a way. It's beautiful. Thank you. So I'll be the mic.
And we're heading over to station 2 now. So station number 2.
So I'm going to pass the word to Seihi, so to talk about the creative process of this work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for my piece, I guess it's supposed to be shown there, but I'm not really sure. Okay. Yeah, mine was just an exploration. So mines are all monotype with some like handprints. Yeah, sure. So it's 2 layers of monotype. The back layer is kind of a more painterly, it's just like wet ink on glass with a dry brush, like a very dry brush. And that serves as the background for Venus figurine transformation, which is 2 types. It's a negative monotype, and then it's the positive monotype, which is also just paint on the glass. And it was just kind of a technical experimentation on like Paleolithic art that I've been really focused on recently. So it's taking inspiration from like the Venus figurines of like the Upper Paleolithic, as well as like, in my case, the Altamira cave paintings, as well as like the handprints that you'll see in a lot of like cave paintings and stuff. And so it's just kind of a fluid transformation of these kind of Paleolithic art forms. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
I wish we could see, like, maybe we could on YouTube. Okay. But maybe we could show a little bit of the. So you see the.
So we are officially at the second station. I think we're going to take a look at the video first. Is that correct?
Yes. Can you hear me properly? Yeah, I think you hear me. So yeah. So what you're gonna see on the table is stuff that wasn't made for the class. It wasn't made for the printmaking class. I was very inspired by the process of doing monotype. So I decided to create all the backgrounds for a film I'm making in another class, which is the intermediary animation filmmaking class. So I decided to make all of my backgrounds in monotype. So what you see here are single frames for like the basically the moving holes that each backgrounds are. And now that is the work of Jurian. This is my work. This is someone else. So yeah, so these are the backgrounds. If you look at my computer, you can see what they look like in motion. So I'm just looping them. So it's just very pleasant because it brings a lot of texture and life into otherwise still images. So that's what I really enjoy with the process. So yeah, I had forgotten to bring the material I had used for the making of the loops that are presented actually in the first space. So I was like, oh, I have my computer in frames for this other project that is also printmaking. So I'm showing that at the table. And what you're gonna see on the looping video, it's playing actually right now, is an experimentation with the printing of the body. So it's just this idea of there's like something or someone on the other side of the screen and they're just like interacting with you through like just pressing bits of their body against the screen. So yeah, it's this time for now it's just like a hand pressing against the paper. I would do prints of other parts of the body, parts of the face, maybe the arms, the legs, the feet, as much different parts as I can think of. Yeah.
So for mine, I was experimenting a lot with like different types of paint. So these black ones are like drier. So I figured out that I had to change like during my final film with like a more water-based paint to have this more like textured and printed effect, which I did for my final, which I did linocut mixed with monotype, which here I mixed with water, even like painted in with some watercolors just to get that like color feel. And yeah, the monotype was really expensive, but it was really fun, like doing the loops and everything, especially with like my cowboy here. It was really interesting to do, and also like making like a background for it and all of that.
Which is your video playing?
No, not that one.
Can you talk us through a bit about what we're seeing?
That's not mine.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. That's not mine.
Okay, we're going to move over to this next table. And we're going to just take a quick look to see what's here and hear from the students about this project and their process. So go ahead.
Hi. So my project is called PUM, and I wanted to explore something that felt playful and sensual and fun. And I love to draw really feminine symbols. And there's something with the apple that feel really natural and close to me, to my identity somehow. So yeah, I feel like I made something really gentle and fun, and I think I'm really happy with it, and it feels kind of dreamy, and the printmaking process make it not really perfect. It's also felt really freeing doing it. So yeah, I'm really happy with my project, and I'm really excited to show it today. So sorry.
So we're going to take a look at the other projects as well on the table, but first we're going to wait until we can see it on the screen. So it will be animated and we'll be showing that to you shortly. It's just in rotation. Here we go. And we're on to the next project at the table and the final project at Station 2. So tell us a little bit about it.
So my final project is right here. It's Edward Muybridge, Horse on a Gallop. I took it because it's considered one of the first forms of animation, and I wanted to pay homage to that, but also because I really love horses. um, I also wanted to highlight because there's something about horses and freedom, but also linocut that's so stiff and so like unforgiving. So I wanted to basically highlight the difference between both. I also like content wise, I also wanted to discuss how we gender horses. So there's like cowboys who are manly and tough and they go to war, but there's also horse girls who are so like dismissed and rich and whatever. um so yeah, it's not final because I'm still experimenting on what the final outcome is going to look, but I think what I really want to get out of it is I want to be able to bleach denim because denim is a huge important part of horse riding culture in general. So this is some trial and errors, mainly errors, but it's really fun to see because every time you don't know how it's going to look like, so it's like a little, ooh, what am I going to get this time? So yeah, and I also have other works that really help me, I don't know, like get into printmaking even more. So yeah, thank you.
That's great. And that was the previous horse animation that we saw on the screen. So that is wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. We're heading over to the third and final station. So we're going to take a look at some of the things on our first table. Then we're going to look at the mobile screen with the video, and then we'll look at the animations on the last one. So at this first section, tell us a little bit about what we're seeing on the table and tell us about your project and kind of your process.
Hi. Okay. Well, what's on the table right now? I have my final project as well as one of my exercises that I did with linocut. So my final project over here, it's with monotype, and it's kind of just these eyes like looking at explosions, and it's supposed to kind of depict how I'm feeling like in my personal life lately, but also what's happening in the Middle East, in Palestine specifically. As a Syrian artist, I felt like it's just been one of the most major things recently that it's just been taking up my mind. And I feel like this is a great depiction of how a lot of us feel right now. And for my lino exercise, I just wanted to also honor Palestinians and make an olive branch swaying in the wind. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we're on to the second part of the table. So tell us a little bit about what we're seeing and kind of your process, and then we'll take a look.
Thank you. Coming into animation, I've always talked about grief in my art, and I was trying to find some way to animate about it, but before I took this course, it was not coming to me. It was not like something I was able to do. But discovering printmaking for animation, it just clicked, and I don't know, all this imagery came to mind. So it's all about yeah, the grief I had to live when I was younger, and like imageries about that person close to me. So yeah, and like the storm and everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's take a look at the mobile screen, see the video that's playing, and hear it.
My perception of colour started when I was still in my mother's womb. The first time, it was when a strange liquid appeared in my amniotic fluid. And other embryos told me the colour of this liquid was red. But my inner voice told me the colour of this liquid was not red. After birth, it became even more curative, but the colours in my eyes were different from everyone else's. When I heard the story of snow, a red apple turned it green with frost. But for me, apples were always green. I started to dream and fantasize, and the stars were different colours from my dreams. Colours I would not see before. Colours I would not see.
Okay, we're going to take a look now at our last two parts of Station 3. So tell us a little bit about what we're seeing. Tell us about your project and your process.
Well, thank you for being here. My name is John, and this is my project for the printmaking course. I was kind of imagining a mythological relationship between industry and the environment. So to do this, I made a series of animations using monotype for the more natural elements in the scene, and then linocut for the more rigid mechanical aspects of the story. And as you can see here, I did two main two main linocut loops, each with 4 frames, because linocut is a lot of work and I wanted to minimize the amount of carving involved. But to do that, it kind of created the challenge of seeing how much information I could fit into a 4-frame loop. So to do this, I really thought about mechanical production and different speeds of parts moving across the animation. But it was a great learning experience. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. And I believe we're moving on to now our last part of the last station. So tell us a little bit about what we're seeing. Tell us about your process, your project, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Yongjin. Like I use linocut to do my animation. It's an animation about who have color blood. Like they cannot see red. The red in their eyes just be green. So I kind of use some like loops to see they are kind of interested what kind words in other people's eyes and why they always feel different with other people. Like sometimes they heard the story of the Snow White. They saw the queen try to give Snow White the apple to kill the Snow White, but for them, the apple was just organized to be green for them. So they kind of use it through these things to feel they are different with other people. So I think it was really interest of the word of other people. They just imagine it, but it's so difficult. But it's kind of difficult for them not to know what the words was. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that wraps up all of the stations here in this space. So for those of you who are here, please stick around, check out these stations. They'll be going until 1 o'clock. For those of you who have joined us online, thank you so much for doing so. We're going to be closing up the live stream and the Zoom now, but we wanted to thank you for your participation. And if you wanted to revisit or share today's presentations, we encourage you to do so as it is already on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great day.